Boehner, Leader Cantor, Leader Pelosi, and Mr. Hoyer for spearheading this critical resolution about the recent terrorist attacks. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of Ambassador Christopher Stevens, Sean Smith, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty, and all of those injured in the attack. Our condolences must also go out to the entire U.S. diplomatic corps. On the 11th anniversary of the attacks of September 11, 2001, radical Islamists attacked the United States Embassy in Benghazi, and our ambassador and 3 other State Department personnel were murdered. Concurrently, in Cairo, our U.S. Embassy there was assaulted by a mob of extremists who breached its walls and desecrated our American flag. Since that fateful day, Mr. Speaker, we have witnessed a dramatic escalation of anti-American protests and actions throughout the region, from assaulting the embassy in Tunis to the attack on peacekeepers in the Sinai. The premise that the violence and the protests are solely based on that obscure, hateful video is patently false. Rather, it is symptomatic of a broader effort by our enemies in the region to foment hatred of the U.S. Yet the hesitation on the part of this administration and the schizophrenia in response to this latest crisis is a cause for concern. The U.S. has nothing for which to apologize, including the exercise of freedom of expression. Surrendering our principles before an unruly mob or violent extremist will only embolden the likes of Al-Qaeda and reinforce the notion that more attacks against the United States will change core American policies and American principles. The perpetrators of the attacks must be held accountable by our allies in the region, and the administration must take the lead. There is no excuse whatsoever for attacking diplomatic missions and murdering diplomats. The administration must place the governments on notice that their conduct during this crisis will determine the nature of our relations moving forward. The Libyan and Yemeni governments have both apologized for and strongly condemned the attacks on U.S. diplomatic posts in their host countries. They have been fully cooperating with us. By contrast, the Egyptian government took over a day to issue a weak statement discouraging violence against foreign embassies, but it was, alas, too little too late. This cannot happen again, and Congress will be closely monitoring the ongoing protests and reassessing our assistance packages and our approaches based on the responses of these governments to assaults on our embassies and our institutions. The lack of a firm response will undermine our U.S. interest in the region. We must clearly articulate and implement a policy that rewards our allies, encourages moderate forces within the region, and punishes our enemies. At this critical moment, Mr. Speaker, the United States must affirm support to our friends and allies and clearly differentiate them from our enemies. The United States must continue to stand up for American values and stand with the voices of moderation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The lady is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, in closing, I would like to reinforce a few points. First, our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of the American diplomats murdered in Libya as we stand with them in this difficult time. Secondly, there is no excuse whatsoever for attacking diplomatic missions and murdering diplomats. Third, the U.S. has nothing for which to apologize. Let us not apologize for the exercise of freedom of expression. The perpetrators of these attacks must be held accountable. Finally, the United States Congress will be reassessing our assistance packages based on the responses of the various affected governments to assaults on our embassies and our institutions. Nothing can justify the terrorist attacks carried out against our fellow Americans and our diplomatic post and our U.S. interests around the world. The Americans killed were committed to helping the Libyan people, committed to help them secure a better, more stable, more peaceful future. Yet radicals, the radicals who seek to hijack such freedom, security, and prosperity from the people of the Middle East and in North Africa, those who deny their own people basic human rights and universal freedoms, answered our dedication and our commitment of these courageous Americans by burning our mission and killing our diplomats. So let us be clear, no apologies are needed. Nothing justifies these violent actions. And to the people throughout the Middle East, North Africa, and throughout the world who are oppressed, the United States and our personnel overseas stand with you. We stand for freedom despite the threats from extremist elements.